Okay, welcome to another episode of The Leading Conversation. I'm very lucky to have with me today Western Province rugby coach and recently successful with the Currie Cup, John Dobson. Dobbo, thank you very much for giving up your time and being here. Leadership is not easy all the time. What do you most enjoy about leading groups, specifically at the moment, groups of rugby players? Even though it's not an easy task for many number of reasons.
Yeah, what I enjoy the most, and probably the stuff that you enjoy is probably what you're better at, is forming groups, that I think are really tight. That guys are, I think a yardstick has always been, we've all been a part of UF as well, like long campaigns of sport where they've compulsory team socials or team functions, and the guys sit there on their phones and they can't wait to go, and that's the thing. And it's when you have voluntary socials that the guys, maybe they start the campaign 3 hours attending. When you've got 20 guys attending voluntary social, that they're in the zone. So what I like doing is making sure that the whole group comes together and buys into what we're trying to do as a group. It's not about coming together just to have fun. That's the biggest misconception. And the biggest misconception, the biggest thing is about them all believing in this cause. And I think if we've got a cause, whatever that cause is, generating X amount of money, winning this campaign, not coming last or not being really, whatever the cause is, to get everybody behind that cause and get them excited for that cause, that I think that's the key thing in leadership, the thing that I enjoy the most. And it's probably what gives us all, you're involved in it, it gives us all a rush. There's a devil to slay on Saturday afternoon, and that's what if that's why I'd struggle, I don't know, a guy like Jake White, who's obviously a brilliant rugby coach, he's won a World Cup. If you're coaching Toyota against Mitsubishi, I'm not sure how much you can get that across, because it doesn't mean something, you've got to create a meaning for everybody.
It does lead me to the question around, so I know that you really want to get people together for a greater cause. What do you think frustrates you the most about the leadership work that you do at the moment, specifically around the players that you work with? You mentioned that they're quite young, they don't even know what authenticity is, as an example. But what frustrates you the most that you would love to, almost if you could go to the genie and say, can you give one thing to the players that I'm working with? What would that one thing be that would allay your frustrations?
Yeah, it's going to sound a bit harsh, but intelligence. No, is a ability to communicate. And that's, I'm not saying because you're here. That's where you've always provided that missing link for us. I'm not saying because of this interview, but is to get decent communication from them, honest communication, not just feedback about us as coaches, that they can interact with each other. And, we've got this joke on the bus. They're happier getting a WhatsApp from a guy one row in front of them than they are talking to the guy next to them. So these guys haven't got great written skills. They don't read. That's just the reality of the generation.
So you were also once young. But I'm not going to go right back to your youth as a student and a player, but I want to go 10 years prior when you were a leader and starting off as a coach. If you could give advice to the 10 years ago John Dobson, so let's take you in 2006, 2007, if you could go back and give one piece of advice to that leader then, what would you tell them that you perhaps didn't know then?
Yeah, I don't think you'd be dissimilar, but it's to go much less about the obvious sort of rah-rah sideshow, not sideshows, but stuff that you think's great, whether it's getting a team in a bar, whether it's downs, or whether it's singing a song, or that sort of stuff, which I thought was a way of making guys close because they weren't. It's a much deeper, involved individual process of building up individuals into a team than just that surface sort of stuff, Yeah. And also, I think the other thing I'd go is to make, so you've got to have a much stronger technical base, both in terms of the sport and the code, but also in terms of how to build them up. You know what I mean? I sometimes thought, got great spirit because we're great at the pig and whistle for 6 hours. You know what I mean? And that's, you realize after a while, the pig and whistle's the end product. That comes much later. You know what I mean? It's individual, it's communication stuff, the understanding that each person, that to me is probably the key. Is understanding. I would review varsity guys. They're all varsity guys. They all come from Bishop Stacks. They're all the same guy, and they're absolutely not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Everybody's got different agenda. Different background, different insecurities, different security. And it's about finding that. So it's much more to do with the individual rather than.
And how do you think you've done that? Was there an two-part question. Was there an inflection point that happened when you realized, shucks, I haven't quite got it right, A? And B, how do you think you've begun to evolve as a coach where to work out what that person needs and this person needs? Because a lot of people talk about, you've got to know the individuals, but what's your how?
Yeah, well, you've got to, listen, I think you've got to have everybody's got to have a certain amount of, what are the thing they're using now, the term EQ.
EQ.
EQ. No, EQ is not the thing, it's an EQ, but the ability to listen. And I did a MBA at varsity, and the guy was talking about a thing called hermeneutic listening, because the way we listen in sport is you tell the story about the 100 you scored for Ronnebusch, and I tell you about the 150 I scored against Saxon. What I mean? That's the same conversation. So it's about trying to use your EQ and your to listen, to work out. I think to work out what makes that person tick. I can't remember the first part of the question.
No, I wondered if there was an inflection point in your career where you realized, shucks, like I'm very good at getting the guys in the pub together, but I need to learn a little bit more about individuals. Was there something that happened?
Yeah, but I think it's been, again, Tom, it's not because you're here. I think it's been that system in the pub works for the odd game. We won into varsity in 2006 or 2004. I didn't win in Stellenbosch since 1961. But I think the next week we lost to Collegians, and it was easy to get the guys tight and up that game. But to get sustained performance, I know you talk a lot about habits, I'm not there yet, but sustained performance, you need to be growing those guys systemically, rather than the emotion of a hype of a, it's an easy sell into varsity at Stellenbosch in front of 10,000, easy sell.
Yeah.
So I think that inflection point was, some poor results with a group that you feel you haven't got together as tight as you can. So it's, you have to start at the base with the building blocks, which are the individual players, and that's probably the inflection point. So.
Okay. Dobber, if we're honest, and I don't think the word conventional or normal would be an adjective used if people were to talk about you and your coaching style. Is that something that you're conscious of, or is it just an extension of your personality?
Yeah, well, that's a weird thing, because I think when I'm at my worst as a coach is when I'm influenced by what convention is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried what a president, can be a club or a union, a president or chief executive or the guy signing the next contract might think. So then I'm going to get judged like this, so I better tidy up on that or not do this. And then I don't think I coach as well. Look, I mean, some of it you want to play up to, because people do think you've got a bit of that in. But I've got no doubt whatsoever in my mind that technically across the board, in talking rugby now, with the software program, whether it's a breakdown, what are we talking about? A couple of percentage points difference between the things. They might do this at the breakdown, and Ireland might do this, or the Falcon might do that. But the difference is going to come, the X factor is all about how we bring that squad together, the individuals, the quality of, whether it's, I don't know what to call it, whether it's the mental, but that's the side that's intangible, and that's where the difference lies, And so I think if we're going to treat each team conventionally, like a double session in the morning, off you go home, single session on Thursday, recovery session, pool, this thing like that, then it's all the same. And I think the way we can add X factor is in that. And sometimes to add X factor, you're going to have to think about things that people aren't doing.
Yeah.
So I do strive to try and think of things that people aren't doing, just for that reason, to try and help us win. But again, and I think you've also similar experience. Some of the things I did 10 years ago are cringe, of what we used to do. You've got to evolve what serves the time and the team and how society evolves. But I'm always trying to find something.
What's the most cringe thing you've ever done with a team?
I don't know. There are lots. What I wouldn't ever want to see them do again. Whether it's.
What about the ballet lesson?
Yeah, ballet wasn't great. Bongo drums on Rhodes Memorial wasn't great because a Japanese tourist bus arrived, and the guys so the whole team, and they're all so embarrassed about marimba drums, and there's about 40 people filming them, and these actually my team were hating me. You could see them literally hating me, and so there are lots of things. I mean, for instance, I suppose in the pub, but lots of singing songs because I had this theory that you had to take guys out of their comfort zone, but I think that's taken. Whether it's running up a mountain to make them vomit or making them walk down Stellenbosch Main Road in a dress, that's also may not be the comfort zone you want to put them, take them out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's too uncomfortable.
Yes.
The guys actually might resent it. Like if somebody makes me dance, everybody else might laugh, but I actually it hasn't put me in a good space, you know. So that's probably
Okay.